Hello, everybody. This is TechHut. What we are going to be doing is talking about probably the best and probably the most respected Linux distribution that is great for beginners. Now, there's a ton of Linux distros that you can argue are best for beginners. One of them that comes to mind is Zorin OS. That one is fantastic. Just base Ubuntu works great. Fedora, if you have an AMD machine, you're gaming. Nobrara OS is one of my personal favorites. But this right here is Linux Mint. This is tried and true. Probably one of the most frequently recommended Linux distributions out there. Not only in this video am I going to go over the distro, go over some of the features, some of the things that you should enable in settings, some of the stuff to do after installation. One thing I've noticed is a lot of people don't like the aesthetics of the Cinnamon desktop, which is what Linux Mint runs. So I'm going to show you how truly configurable it actually is. So whether if you are just now starting to experiment with Linux and you're looking for a distro to go ahead and try out, or even if you're an experienced Linux veteran, there's probably going to be something in this video for you, so stay tuned. And before we get on to all of that, I do need to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is Skillshare. I've been using Skillshare for a few different things. I'm watching a lot of productivity videos on Skillshare. I'm doing some 3D printing stuff. They have a bunch of good Python content, and they'll probably have something that you are interested in learning. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and much more. Skillshare can help you take your career, skills, hobbies, passions, or side hustles to the next level, helping you further your personal development and creativity. It's all about making the choice to learn, grow, and nurture a creative practice of your own. And with all that, the first 500 people to use the link down below will get a free 1-month trial of Skillshare. So go ahead, click that link down below and check it out today. So I did already get Linux Mint installed here, but if you've never installed a Linux distribution before, it's actually a very straightforward and easy process. All you got to do is head over to their website, click on download. Now they do have a few different versions. The main version is the Cinnamon Edition, which is the desktop that I'm currently running. This is default. This is generally what I recommend unless if you want something else. I like Cinnamon a lot better than XFCE and the Mate editions, but it's Linux. Throw them in a VM, try them out, figure out what you like. And then from there, all you do is get a tool such as Rufus if you're running on Windows, or even Belina Etcher. Flash it to a USB drive, assuring you don't have any important data on the drive. Plug it into your computer, boot to the USB. Depending on what's going on, you may have to disable secure boot. And when you're in the live desktop environment, you just launch the installer, go through the whole process, pick the disk you want to install it on, making sure, just like with the USB, that there's nothing super important on it. Back up all your data, of course. Let it finish the installation, reboot your system, pull out the drive, and then you're going to end up in a system that looks like this. And if I go ahead and punch in here, we are going to get a nice view of what is going on. So welcome to Mint gives us a nice little overview, and what's really nice is some of these first step things that are recommended that you do. So desktop colors, I'm going to skip that for now. That's into the customization that we're going to talk about a little bit. We have time shift here. I have a whole separate video on that. It does system snapshots, makes it really easy to back things up. And then down here, we have the driver manager. This is important if you're running like a NVIDIA GPU. This will help you get the drivers that you need so you won't run into as many issues. And right here, update manager. This is what we're going to dive into. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this. Now, real quick, future me is interjecting. I'm just going to show you a little tip with this. I waited to have an actual update so I could show you that. One thing you're going to want to do if you're installing this for the first time, and you might get a little notice right here that will pop up and tell you as well, but we're going to go over here to edit and software sources. Type in our password, and then it's going to bring up this dialog. What the software sources are the actual servers that it's going to be downloading all these packages and updates from. So for example, here, main, I selected this one, and for the base packages, I'm using Duke EDU. Now, if we go ahead and click on this, what it's going to do is actually run a quick speed test of all the different mirrors or locations that we could pull these updates from. So I'm just going to give it a minute to let it scan all of these real quick, or test the speed of all of them. And there we go. You can see it ran a quick speed test on just about everything. If we scroll up to the top, this might actually be different. Nope, same one, same as the best speed. But if I wanted to change it to like UC Berkeley, for example, I would just click on that. click apply, and then I'll click here to update the apt, which is the package manager that this is using because it's an Ubuntu system. Update the cache, so then when it runs the update command to pull from the repositories, it will use this instead. So now this is going to have to refresh, same update of course, and then to install the updates, we just make sure they're selected, click on install updates, authenticate once more, and then there we go. You could always drop this down to see some details on what's going on. One update real quick and we're good to go. And then over here we have system settings and software manager. Before we dive into the settings and some of the features that I recommend you enable to make this a really good experience, first let's dive into the software manager here. So launching this brings it up, and it's a pretty nice tool that we have here. This is basically like your equivalent of the Apple App Store, Microsoft Store, all that. You can find a variety of applications. For example, just here on the featured, I use almost all of these: GIMP, Discord, Audacity. We have VirtualBox here. Sublime Text is really good. So you can find a lot of nice stuff in here. Blender is one of the top rated. You have Obsidian. You will see right here it says FlatHub. There's different package management systems. Flatpak is the package management system that I try to use for most of my applications. It makes it so the applications themselves don't really do anything to the root file system. They're containerized, and it really helps with one, cross-platform support between various Linux distributions. And just overall, I've had a really good experience using them. The default package manager on here is apt. So if I open up the terminal, make it a little bit bigger here, and then I run something such as apt, or we want to do sudo apt update. This is the package manager that it's going to be using. And a lot of these applications that you see in the App Center that aren't Flatpaks are going to install using this package manager without you having to dive into the terminal at all. That's one of the beautiful things about Linux Mint is everything that essentially every feature that you have available to you that you're actually going to want to use is available within an actual graphical interface such as the software manager here. And when it comes to the actual stability of Linux Mint, it is wonderful. It's based on Ubuntu, which is based on Debian, which are just really big, popular distributions that are known for being incredibly stable. And the apt package manager, if you actually do want to dive in and use it in the terminal, is incredibly easy to use and learn. So getting applications on Linux Mint is an actual breeze. And speaking of applications, let's talk about some of those that come pre-included. I'm not going to dive into every single tool and accessory here, but we do have quite a few of them. So for example, in graphics, we have a drawing, pics under internet, kind of based. It does have a torrent client pre-installed for you. We have web apps, which this one is really cool. So it will make it so if there's not a specific application for a web service that you want to be using, you can just do this. So for example, it's as easy as just making something like iCloud. Ignore me while I log in real quick. You get the web address that you want, you drop it in here, you pull this, which will grab, or it should grab the icon, so we could select that. Give it a category. This is more of an office tool. You could pick what browser, so you can install a wide variety of browsers, even Microsoft Edge if that's something that you're used to. And you can customize some of the settings, click OK, and now I have a iCloud web app. So if I go down here and I search for iCloud, you can see it right there. Open it up, 655720. So there we go. Now we have iCloud and we can access all the apps. It looks kind of like a native application. Just one of the cool tools that's included here on Linux Mint. Now for Office, we have the LibreOffice suite of tools, which is a wonderful alternative to Microsoft Office. We have some things under sound and video, just basic video and music players, and then we have all the administration tools and preferences. Additionally, this is a Cinnamon desktop. Whenever you have a desktop environment, which is the GUI and all the applications that we're seeing, a lot of them are shipped with that environment. So for example, like files, this is our file management application. If I go to help and about, you can see this is the Nemo file editor. And another cool thing is if you prefer, or not file editor, file browser, and really cool, you could switch it out for something else completely if you would like to. That is one of the beauties and freedoms of using a Linux system. So now what we're going to do real quick is I'm going to dive into settings and talk about some of the things I think you should at least change or use. And probably the first one here is going to be hot corners. So if I go up under preferences, we have hot corners here. This will just make it so you could throw your cursor up into one of the corners and it will perform an action for you. So for example, if I want to enable the top left corner here, the default is to show all the workspaces. I like to have it show all my windows. So then if I go ahead and zoom out and I have a couple things open, maybe the terminal, maybe that, maybe we got a web browser open. This is a feature that is kind of default in GNOME. And if I boop, throw that up, I have a nice view of all of my active windows here. And then you can manage them, close them out. And then if I go, let's say I want the other corner to be the show the workspaces, I can throw it up there and then I can manipulate and move various windows in between various workspaces and even give like workspaces specific names for what I happen to be doing. Now, another place worth checking out within the system settings here is if we go back and we go down to Windows. Here is where you can control all the actions of your title bars, all the action buttons, the layouts. But right here under behavior, one thing that I've started doing is right here under window focus mode, the default is click. But if we go to mouse and then we enable something like automatically enable focused window, what this will do is make it so you don't have to click on the windows. It will just focus on the window that you happen to have your mouse floating over. So if I enable the terminal here, let's open up Firefox again. And now if I go over here, it's going to bring it up. If I go down here, it's going to bring it up without me having to actually click on it. So it's just one of those things that just makes your whole experience move a little quicker. So even if you don't have any kind of disability or anything like that, I would urge you to dive into these accessibility settings, play around with them, and you might find something that's useful for you. Even what I'm doing right now, how I'm zoomed in, you could see whoop, 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 whoop. I'm just testing out an accessibility feature for recording this video, which is the desktop zoom right here. Went ahead, clicked enable zoom. There we are. We have a modifier, so I'm using the mouse wheel, so I'm holding down control and then scrolling for that. And you could see that magnification level changes as I go ahead and do that. And then I set it to corner pushes around the contents, so you could see that is how it's working. And if I wanted to, I could keep cursor centered, but then that's kind of doesn't look too good on video, might be okay for you. Or we could move with the contents, which this looks a little bit better, but still, for me, kind of nauseating. So that's just an example. You have typing assistance, so you could set up your sticky keys here, change some mouse settings. So there's actually really useful stuff in accessibility. So just like getting any new computer or device, it's really good to just go through these system settings and go through every single one to make sure you change everything and also discover a lot of features. So for example, here we have Applets. Now this is how we kind of get started with the customization of the system. For example, this first one right here is the calendar applet. You can see it right here. And if I go ahead and disable it, for example, it's going to get rid of that down there. So this is just part of the customization process. And all these applets, or most of them, do have options. So if I jump into the calendar settings, for example, you could see we have the events, show week number, use custom date format, and we have some shortcuts here. And all of these settings can be exported or imported to files. Now, when we enabled that, you may have noticed that it didn't go back into its original spot. All we need to do is right click here and enable the panel edit mode, and then I can drag this over and put it back right to where I want it to be. So let's get out of edit mode real quick. And a really beautiful thing is kind of like with KDE Plasma, which is another Linux distribution, we can actually download applets. So now it's going to sort it by popularity. You can see I'm downloading all the images the first time I opened this. And we see we have a whole bunch here ordered from popularity. So the first couple that we see here are going to be decent ones to check out. And to check them out, we could just download this weather one, for example. And Cinnamenu is another really good one. This is a very customizable menu. So if I go ahead and added that, for example, we now downloaded two. And then if I go over here to manage, we could see the Cinnamenu and weather. So scrolling out here real quick, let's go ahead and add the weather applet. And we could see it showed up right there. And now look at that. We have our weather. If we click on it, it's actually where I am. So it did a auto location detection. Very nice. And then for the menu, this right here is the default. I'm not too big of a fan of it. I mean, it's nice, functional, works great. But let's add the Cinnamenu real quick. Boop. So added it over here. So if I click and open it, you can kind of see what it looks like. And then all I would do is go into panel edit mode, drag this over here to where it's kind of expected to be. Right click, I'm going to remove the original menu. Yes. Get out of the panel edit mode, and then we have our new menu here. From there, I could go into the settings and then really play with it and make it what I want. You can see there's a lot of settings: layout, content, we have the behavior, the search, appearance, and tips. So for example, just real quick under application view mode, if I wanted it to be a list, there we go. Now it kind of looks like how it did before. Under search, we can enable various web searching and change the options for that. Under appearance here, if I do, let's use a custom icon. So now it's the cinnamon icon. So then I would just pick an icon that I think will fit the theme that I'm eventually going to want. And there we go. And you get down all the way to like the menu and change the individual size of like the icons here. So like application grid icon size, that's a little too large for me. So let's change that to something like 32, roughly half the size. So now if I open it up, there we go, much smaller. So play around with something like that and really kind of make it your own. Now we can also put widgets on the desktop, and that is just with a Desklet instead of an applet. So if I do add Desklet, we have a couple, but I'm going to go over here to download. And of course, if you click on this and click the little light bulb, you can get more information on it, which in turn opens up the cinnamon spices page on the Linux Mint website. So you get a lot more information, see how it's going to look. And to simply add these, all I would do, actually I want to download that real quick. Boop. So for each individual one you add, you can change what it's monitoring. Our duration, so I can set it to 5 minutes. I can set it to 30 seconds, so then the graph's going to be moving pretty quick. You can change the colors, the scale factor, all kinds of fun stuff. Just overall, the Desklets and Applets are really nice to have. So now we're going to dive a little deeper into the customization. I went ahead and 2x'd my display scaling so you can see everything a little bit better. Now, let's say I want this to look either like GNOME, or maybe I'm coming over from Mac OS and I prefer that kind of a layout. So something I could do real easy is just move this panel. I'm going to throw this one right on the top, boop, like that. Maybe move me down here. And then what I could do is dive back into the panel edit mode. Let's take this calendar and move it to this green right here in the middle. And just having the time there doesn't look too good, so we could go ahead, right click and configure this. And we could use a custom date format. So now it looks like this. Much better for me. I actually prefer that default right there, but you can customize these how you see fit right here. And then from there, I'm actually going to remove some things. So I'm not going to want the icons here. So let's remove the grouped windowed list. And I'm going to remove the little show desktop thing. I never use that. I just use the hotkey of throwing it up there. And I'm actually going to move the weather right here next to the time. And I believe I can. Ooh, I can. Let's add a separator right here. And I'm going to put that in between the two just so there's a little bit more of a gap. And I do believe close that out. And even on 2x scaling, this is a little thick. So what I'm going to do is go to panel settings here, and let's make this a little bit thinner. 32 is probably good, a little smaller. Let's go 30. So now you can see what that looks like. We have our time, date, calendar. We have our weather right here ready to go. And then we have some important system utilities and then the menu right here. Real quick, I'm actually going to customize this a little bit more. Let's configure this menu. Go under appearance, panel text. I'm going to get rid of that. Let's use a custom icon size and make it just a little bit smaller. And then for the layout, I actually prefer lists, so it will look like this. And then what I'm going to do is under content, let's get rid of recent items, bookmarks and places. And we can see the sidebar is on the bottom. I believe it's this right here. So let's just go ahead and disable that. There we go. And now can we make it not as wide? Do it just by dragging. Beautiful. So there we go. That's something I like a little bit more. I need to re-add a power button real quick, and you could just go into Applets download. I'm going to go over here to system controls, download it, and then under manage, I am just going to add it. So now you can see here I have a power button. If I click it, I now have access to all that instead of having to use the menu over here. So now what I want is some icons down here so I can access my favorite applications. So for that, we just need to add another panel. I'm going to right click over here. I'm going to add a new panel right down here. And then I can go to Applets, and this one is that grouped window list that we got rid of earlier. Just going to add that. You can see it popped in over there. Now I should be able to just enter edit mode and drag these right to the middle. So now what we could do, if we'd like to, is go to the panel settings here, and you could customize this panel how you'd like to. So I can make the panel higher, shorter, whatever I need. We can set it to auto hide, so I'm gonna intelligently hide the panel. And you can set up delays and all that, and just really get into customizing it. So now if I go out of the edit mode, we see the panel there. If I open up something, drag it down, you can see it's gonna automatically hide for us. So now what we're gonna do is dive back into our settings. So if I go over here to preferences, or we just search themes, we're going to make it look a little prettier. So by default, we do have just kind of some general style changes. You can make it put it in light or dark mode and change some general color stuff. But if we go down here to advanced settings, this is where we can customize specific things like our mouse, pointer, applications, icons, so on. And here, if we click add remove, it's going to download or download the information for all the themes that we can get. And it will sort them again by order of popularity. A lot of these are really good, and you could go ahead and grab whatever ones you think look good to you and try them out, play around with them. So for example, if I wanted to grab App Adapta, I could click on that. Obviously, we could go over here to more information and browse the website instead of that specific application if we wanted to. So like if I click themes, this will kind of give us a better list to kind of view and see exactly what we want and what we're looking for. I'm gonna go ahead and go with this one right here. It's pretty. So we just click download, go over to themes, and then under desktop here, you're gonna get a better visual. Here, let's get rid of myself real quick. You're going to get a better visual of all these themes that we have, including what we just downloaded, which I believe here, you're going to get a better visual of all the themes that you have to choose from. This right here is obviously the one I downloaded, so we'll click on that. Looking good thus far. Now to change some of these other things, we're going to have to download and install some themes manually. So we're going to go to the Cinnamon Look website. First, while we're here, we might as well make Firefox look a little bit better. And I haven't done this in a while. I believe it's in settings. There it is. Right click, customize toolbar. And then right here where it says title bar, just get rid of that. And then you could see it's going to merge the tabs into the actual title bar, which is kind of how it's supposed to be. So yeah, Firefox looks like that. That's something you're going to want to do. Here we are on cinnamonlook.org. Gonna get a icon theme because these honestly do not look that good. These icons to me feel like they would be the default on a children's tablet. Let's sort this by rating here. Oh, candy icons, those look even worse. Let's go Orcus. Orcus is that's a theme. Full icon themes by rating. There we go. A lot of these are really nice. I have a full video going over like my favorite themes and all that. Ooh, there it is. Flattery. This one's my personal favorite. When we click download here, we'll have a lot of options. A lot of these colors just mean the colors of the folders. I am a fan of kind of Ubuntu-esque type themes, so we're going to go Flattery Orange and then download it. So there we go, just under a megabyte. And now let's go ahead and grab a GTK theme. So here, GTK themes rating. Now let's go ahead and grab Orcus, download it here, and we are going to go with Orcus Orange. So now we have that downloaded. Let's close this out real quick and go over to our file browser. There are going to be some hidden files here, so if I go Control H, we'll be able to see both a .icon and a .themes folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this in a new tab. Let's extract both of these real quick. So now first for our icons, I'm going to go into the folder. I'm going to copy these and then drop it into icons. And then we could grab our Orcus GTK themes. Let's give that a copy and then drop those into the .themes folder. Boop, boop, paste. There we go. So now over here, we should have the option. So let's go over to icons. And there we go. We have Flattery. Let's go Flattery Orange Dark. So now we can see, ooh, it does not look like that on KDE. Let's try a different one, shall we? This one has a lot more icons, as you could tell by the extraction time. Copy that and drop it in icons. Boop. There we go. Ah, yes, much better. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. I want the orange one. The cool thing is this is so easy and quick to do that it doesn't matter if you want to play around, try a whole bunch of different ones. Let's grab these. Oh, there they are. Ubuntu Dark. Nice. So if we open up files, oh, that looks so much better. And now for the applications, we can go right here, and then we'll have the Orcus. We have light, dark. I'm going to go dark compact. Ooh, stunning. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. I keep seeing little things that I want to change. Ah, there we go. That looks better. Now this, the margin's a little off, so we can go to customize for the desktop. And I think these are the margins. Yeah, there we go. So probably about there. There we go. But first I'm going to check to see if it's extensions and also show you guys extensions. So if we open up the extensions application here, go to download, we can see the most popular extensions. Look at this. Let's do this real quick. Manage. Boom. Enable. So now if I close it, oh, that was an effect, but not the one I'm looking for. This right here, these kind of things is literally what got me into into Linux in the first place. I was in like 6th grade and I saw like window effects and I was like, I have to try that. Here's all the effects. So fire for close. Okay, that's dumb. Let's disable that. Okay, I mean, while we're already here having fun, I might as well try this too. Boop. Oh, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. I haven't played with this in a while. Pacify Windows, enable it. Hey, that's cool. I'd keep that one. Let's go ahead and try dynamic wallpaper real quick. If you can't tell, I'm going a little off script here, playing around with this. Like I even had a script. And enable it. Ooh, do I want to install it? Yep, add a dependency. Let's grab it. If you're a beginner, dependency just means an application depends on another application to run. We needed it. So now let's dive into settings. Whoa. Ooh, I like it. We have our image selection. Wow, that's pretty cool. So we have a few different things to choose from. I do like the default lakeside, but if I like go mountains, ooh, all of these are cool. Earth. Wow. Let's keep lakeside. Lakeside's beautiful. Lots of different settings to configure this how you want to, but that's real nice. Now, I can't find a way to actually edit the panel width on here, unfortunately. If you know, please let me know down below. But using an extension, this first one here that we took or peeked at earlier, we're going to go manage transparent panels. We're going to enable it. Whoa! We're going to open up the settings here, and we are going to make this only affect the bottom panel. So there we go. Oh, bottom panel. So now our bottom panel is fully transparent here. We can do semi-transparent, full transparency, or with shadow, which I like the with shadow there. So now if I close this out, have something open here, you could see on the bottom, it in fact has a shadow. Very beautiful. Like I said in the beginning of this video, Linux Mint is by far one of the best Linux distributions that you could use, especially if you're first getting into it. It's heavily customizable, but there's not too much that it's like overwhelming, kind of with like something like KDE Plasma. And this is definitely a lot less buggy than KDE Plasma. But again, there's a lot more options. The thing that I'd really recommend you do if you're trying to experiment and get into and play with Linux is on your Windows machine or even a Mac, throw up a virtual machine and play around with the distributions in there and try and test out software that you can either already use if it's already free and open source, or try to just see if you can match your workflows in a Linux environment before you completely wipe your system, get discouraged, and then end up switching back to Windows or whatever anyways. So yeah, with all that, I do hope you have an absolutely beautiful day, and goodbye.